Morning guys, so we're in Berkhamsted this week doing a Wren kitchen. Today is obviously rip out day. The kitchen is actually due to be delivered sometime tomorrow morning, hopefully first thing. We don't want to be standing around twiddling our thumbs, but we will see how things progress as we do the rip out. So this is what we've got to do. So this is what's coming out. It's pretty much going back almost like for like. Obviously with all new stuff, and there's no wall units on this side. All the tiles have got to come off, and we're going to be putting an actual backsplash on there. It's a pre-made one which matches the worktop, so it will look like the worktops are actually going up the wall as well once we're done. So we've got to do all the rip out today. There are some cables that we need to look at and maybe move and adjust a little bit minor stuff, but it's all just coiled up underneath there, so until we rip it out we don't know what we're dealing with completely. Floor is staying, so that's nothing we've got to be careful of. Just show you quickly the plans, what's going in. So these are the Wren plans that we're working with. So just to give you a quick, see, Wren give you a full itemised colour list of what's being involved. We've got under cabinet lighting of some description, we need to sort that out. So these are your base units. So this is where we are now. Obviously then this is the wall with no cabinets on the wall, sink, and then you've got some larders, pink ones being larder units and a bridging unit. And then you have another one which has all your wall units in. And then obviously then you have your plans for your worktops. This is important because the worktops come as set lengths. So this will be slightly longer than you need it. There won't be a full 3 metre length with loads of waste. And then these are your elevations. Just so it gives you an idea of basically the elevations of how it all looks. And then you have like the breakdown, all your bits and pieces you need to pay attention to as you're going through it. It's quite a lot of information, but when you've done a few Wren kitchens you pretty much know all of that anyway. So that's what we've got to get done today. So without further ado, we're going to get stuck into the rip out and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so fully ripped out. Now this is the sort of stuff that when you're pricing jobs, people don't understand when there's extras, because there's always stuff you can't see because it's behind units and it's behind under floors and what have you. So first things we've discovered that's going to be an issue is pipework height. Now that's hot and cold pipework there. That one's the gas. That's not a major issue because that's going to come out and into a cupboard to feed the gas hob. But the issue is these pipes are way too high. There's an oven got to go in there. There's a mains there. There's a tower unit that goes in there. So potentially we're going to have to address this mains, swing it over and put the tap under the plinth or something, and then come up and run the pipes all again, rejoin them there, run them all the way back round low level and then out and into the unit. This waste, as you can see, is not doing nothing. It's completely at the wrong height. There's a dishwasher got to go there, and as it is, going to put a dishwasher forward, so that is going to have to be completely cored through new, as low as we can get it in that corner to do away with that, and then it goes out here. Luckily this has all been done as like a lean-to. So it come out by that door basically. We'll have to look at that. So we have to come out by that door and then bring it in low as we can get it into this, back into this waste. So obviously this one runs a bit further on, so we'll have to core it through from the other side, bring it through low level here somewhere, come up as low as we can get it, but with a fall, and get it in behind the dishwasher, which isn't the end of the world, it's just a pain. So yeah, that's all got to be addressed. Now this is the oven cable, nice heavy duty one. That's not an issue because that's just going to come up and back into this unit. That's going to be here, and then the ovens are all going to be plugged in there. I will put a few spur up there as well, bring that socket, we'll bring that socket out and up and out and into the unit as well, so then we can put a few spur on it to power the new extractor fan. There is some lighting going in here, but it's underneath the worktop, so I need to find a way of powering that. But otherwise, nothing too drastic. We've got a little bit of plastering to do just on this wall behind me, just there, it needs to be re-skimmed. The rest of the walls are fine. Once they have the back panels put on, that'll be no issue. We do have this old vent pipe here for an extractor fan. Now, I've not looked at the units yet or how they've set them out, obviously, but I think they've got the extra tall 900s, which will put it above that. But we may have enough space here to put an angle on there, 90, and bring it up and over the top of the units and actually duct out the new extractor fan. So again, that's something else we've got to look at as well. So there's a few bits and pieces that we need to pay attention to, but nothing we can't sort out because we're good like that. But anyway, stay tuned guys for more, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so we're back from doing the rubbish run. We've picked up a load of materials which we need to start thinking about. Ricky's just uni-bonding the wall that needs to be skimmed up. And we've just been looking at the Wren plans, trying to figure out some details, and because we come across a bit of an issue. And if you can see behind me, we've got a waste pipe coming through the ceiling. I don't know what the previous owners were thinking, but apparently there's an ensuite above here. They've actually heated the pipe up for a start to put that bend in. So we need to try and figure this out, because obviously there's an extractor fan going back here, which is actually inside a cabinet. Now, I know from experience that when they're inside a cabinet, they take up the whole cabinet pretty much top to bottom. So there's not a lot of room for error, so to speak. So, and outside, the roof is lower than the ceiling in here. So even if I cored a new hole through from the other side, I may still have an issue trying to get the extractor fan in. So we've been looking at heights and spacings and how Wren have designed this. Now, normally you'd have no issues because you'd have normal height cabinets, but these are 900 high, and they've allowed 478mm between worktop and bottom of wall units, which actually makes it higher than the larder units. There's a step down in the larder units. Now, apparently it's something to do with safety, which you can't remember, the client can't remember exactly what it is. But what's really irritating is this. They haven't centered the hob. They've centered it to the base unit, but to the wall unit, if you follow the line down, you've got no gap or hardly any gap there between that one, and no gap and a bigger gap there. So it's going to look completely off centre, which that is a really bad design. And then they put a massive filler here. So why didn't they just centre the 800, got rid of that filler, centre the 800, put the 250 unit back in, do a small filler, and do a filler either side of that? It would have looked a lot more better, would have looked a lot nicer, nicely centred, nice even spacing, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to ignore basically Wren's plan, because I don't think the designer knew what she was doing. But I think I've thought of a way around it. If we can lose that and put that unit there, keep that unit as it was, centre that to the hob, and then we just do fillers either side. At least it'll look a little bit better visually looking at it. And then that way then, because I'm moving this unit over and that one's staying where it is, because I think this is where the safety issue is. She's worried about the height of flames, that being too close. So by that moving over means we can then potentially lower that down to 78mm. It'll still be well over 700 between the top cabinet. This would be more like 400. I can then drop these down to more like 400, lose that 78mm, and we'll still be within the safety zones. That's my thinking anyway, being a kitchen fitter. So I don't know what you guys think about it. But this is what Wren are like, unfortunately. Their designers don't have any actual on-site experience. They just look at a computer screen. And you know, it's the aesthetics, it's the look of how things are going to be at the end of the job. And having things that are off centre, which Wren are renowned for, they just put units that don't match. If this was Howden's, for example, prime example, because I know this for a fact, whatever size unit was there, they'd have the same size wall unit. Then this is a 600, but that's an 800. So what they would do is, if that's going to be an 800 and that was a 400, they'd put a 300 and a 300 instead, so that you don't lose the line. So this line here would still continue up and that line would continue up, you know. So this whole area will all look like the lines either side here line up with the doors here, and then these would just be smaller doors, if you know what I mean. It's hard to explain, but that's how Howden's primarily look at it. Whatever's at the bottom, they try and match it at the top, unless you have to have a safety reason, like moving stuff over and making that wider. But that's just what it is. But anyway, we need to crack on. So I need to figure out what I'm doing with this waste pipe. I need to figure out what I'm doing with the pipe work and the sink waste. And we need to get some plaster knocked up and do some plastering. So yeah, all good fun. Stay tuned, guys. Okay, so my gas man's been and he's moved my gas pipe for me to where I want it, so it comes into the cupboard so that he can connect onto it later on. We've cored a hole out for that waste that was where the extractor fan is, which isn't actually going there now, so that's not too much of an issue. I've just modified the hot. So the hot used to run just below that cold, so now we come down now. We've extended it round there, round the gas pipe that our gas engineer's done. Goes round there, and then up and out into the cupboard. So I've got to do something similar now with the cold. So this one being our cold mains. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut it here, about here somewhere. We're going to put a lever valve on its side so that the lever comes into the cupboard. So that I can cut a nice big hole, because here, roughly somewhere here, actually I need to do some working out to make sure this is actually going to be, I think it's just inside the cupboard. So it's a bit tricky, we have to figure something out, because we've done some measuring, and I think that's the edge of our cupboard there. So that should be, so if I put the isolator, cut it here, isolator on this side so the lever comes down into the cupboard. That way then it's still accessible. We can then tee off, do a tee straight off it, go there and reconnect in this corner to the cold, and then we can send it across there, bring it down and along low level. So that's the plan anyway. We're sort of governed with what's here to a degree. There's a drawer here in the unit, so by putting the lever on its side, should get it inside where we want it, but we want to get it as low as we can as well. So we're going to take some measurements and then crack on with that. But yeah, it's all good fun and games at the moment, but we'll get there in the end. Okay, so that's the end of day one. We've addressed the plumbing. The plumbing's all done apart from the waste. Now we've had a bit of a rethink with the waste because of what's been going on here, but I'll explain what we're thinking. But anyway, so down in this corner now, so yes, the cold is still up a bit high. I was governed by the main stop tap. I've put a lever valve on there. So I've got a lever valve on the mains now, so it comes up, goes up there, and feeds the rest of the house, comes around there, dives down, so it goes behind the dishwasher, and then up and then back out for the outside tap. Now normally I would put a non-return valve on there and it's got tap there. But this is all like, basically this is a ton of extra, so I'm just keeping the cost down for the client. So just keeping all that out of sight, out of mind. Just cut a hole in the unit to get onto that tap, that's that done. Then I've only got the dishwasher to connect up. So we've got all the plumbing in. The waste, we were actually thinking of coring a new hole, because this is where the old one was. It's quite high up. So we're going to core a new one out a bit lower, core it out, go through there, and we're actually thinking of going straight out that wall, and then we'll core out that wall when the sink's in place and the waste is in. We can core out and just link them on the outside. That way we've got no issues when it comes to the dishwasher, because we had those pipes as well. By the time I've come around that wall and then along to get the fall I need, there's a good chance that it's going to affect the dishwasher. So I spoke to the client and they're happy for me to go out the wall and then up and then back in. It's not ideal, but I'm thinking it's probably our best bet. So we've got plenty of pipe to do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we need to plaster that wall in the morning, so it's done before Wren get here. And then we need to address that socket is going to be obsolete, so we need to pull that one back up to there, and we're going to bring it out inside the larder unit, which will then have a socket for the microwave and a socket for the extractor fan, which is going to be over there in a cabinet, so we can bring a cable up and over and back in. That's not an issue. Minor works. That's going to stay, that socket that's currently there, because they're going to plug their fridge into that, and there's a bridging unit that goes over the top of that, so potentially that's going to be hidden behind the fridge anyway. That one we will just fill the hole once we pulled the cable through. Obviously we've got another one over here which has got a socket on as well, but there's a tall larder unit going in there, so we will blank that off and just put a face plate over it. I don't even need to do that, I could just leave it as is. Cut a hole in the back of the unit so they can actually get on it if I really wanted to. And then we got somehow get some lighting in here, and I need a power supply for the dishwasher and a power supply for the hob ignition. So again, it's a few little bits and pieces that we need to sort out and think about. These are the unforeseens, unfortunately, things you don't know about until you do the rip out. But we're taking shape. We're already having to modify Wren's plan because it looks a mess, but we'll figure that out when the units turn up tomorrow and we can start throwing them in. But that's us done for today. So don't forget, like, share, follow, subscribe to that YouTube channel, guys. Planning on doing the giveaway this weekend, but with the delays today on this, we may have to work Saturday, so that may push the giveaway back. It's either that or I just do it one evening at home. I'd rather do it at Howden's purely because they sponsored the videos. But I'll figure it out and let you know towards the end of the week what I'm doing. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.